Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for watching my last video, my previous video, and thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel. As you all know, my name is Oluwadamilola Elias Ojo, and here I am today with my siblings, my brother, my only brother, and my only sister. She is now married. I'll leave them to introduce themselves. They will introduce themselves and we'll continue. Let's hear you.
Should I go first? Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Glory Oluwali. And what else should I introduce? What else should I say?
I think that's enough.
Okay.
Hello guys, my name is Elias. I'm happy to be on this channel.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Emmanuel, and thank you, Glory. Today, we're going to be discussing just a few things about grief. Before that, I would like to say that we are the children of Reverend Elias. He passed on in the year 2023, and after his burial, this is the first time. It's over a year, and this is the first time I'll be seeing my siblings again. That we together. So we just want to say some few things of our experience of grief and how we've been able to come along this time, this whole while, and how we've been able to manage through. Because the truth is, grieving continues. It's not something that stops. It continues. It's just God's grace that we all use to manage it. I'd like to ask you, Glory, how do you see loss? How do you see grief?
I don't know if I can actually explain what grief is, but how I see it is something that cannot be honestly explained until you experience it. You can't understand what grief is until you experience it, until you go through it, until you lose someone that is close to you, until you lose a loved one. You can't. Until it hits close home, you can't explain. You can't relate when people say they are grieving or they cannot understand the depth of what they are saying or the depth of what they are feeling until they actually are in that position. Grief is something that cannot be explained. Honestly, no matter what it is, no matter even if I've lost my father already, right? And there's somebody else that has lost their father. I still don't think that it's the same experience.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a unique thing that applies to people differently, and it honestly cannot be explained until it is experienced. That's what I see. It's a unique thing to different people. That's what I see grief as, something that cannot be explained. It's just can only be experienced, and even you don't know how you are going to react to grief until it happens to you. Right? I don't know. It's something that it's a phase of life that I don't know, but God created it. That's what I say about it.
Talking about grief, Emmanuel, knowing fully well that we've not really lost. We've lost one or two family members, but talking about grief, how did you feel when you heard about that loss?
I think, to be very honest,
Knowing fully well that this one is immediate daddy, your father. At least you were.
I understand. I think, to be very honest, it was the biggest shock of my life. It's something I've never experienced before. Like, someone that close. It was a shock. It's just something that was not foreseen, didn't expect it. It was not sick. It was completely healthy. And so for me,
And I think you spoke to him the day before.
I spoke with him 2 days before. And he was just looking at the camera very closely, and I had to even tell him, you know what, let's just end the call and we'll talk later. And after 2 days, and I heard like that he had passed on, I was extremely shocked. Nothing was working. My brain was not working. Nothing was working. So I didn't process anything. Nothing was coming through my head. I was just not thinking. Nothing was working. I was just down, just crying. And
Did you cry immediately though?
yes.
Glory, did you cry immediately?
Actually, for me, my experience was quite different from mine. I was on a retreat. I spoke to Dad like the day before, asked, and we had a good conversation. He prayed for me. told me he was going on a retreat the next day and that he was going to call you guys to inform you about the retreat, and that he also told me that when he goes on the retreat he was going to turn off his phone for 3 days and we will not hear from him because he will be praying and all that. He prayed for me and said, okay, that's it, that we'll be traveling. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And the next day, the midnight of that day, because like I said, I was also on the retreat, I was praying and I was also even thanking God for my family.
It's youth out period.
It was youth out period, the year was going to an end, so I was even thanking God that God has done the thing, He has kept my family. We are complete in the year 2023, nobody's dead. I did all of those Thanksgiving prayer only for me to hear in the morning that, and honestly, I was in complete denial. That's my own reaction. I didn't believe it. I was annoyed that, because how I heard was my brother Emmanuel passed the information to me. They just took me home. The person that was taking me home already knew, which is now my husband, already knew what had happened. So he just drove me back home. And then I met my brother, and then he was crying, and then he was like, Dad, what are you saying? Why are you crying? Do you know who you are talking about? My father cannot die. Those were my words. I was in complete denial. And I hated people because then people started coming and then they were trying to felicitate with me, trying to tell me. I was just in complete denial, honestly. So the stages were from a state of anger, and then I was in denial, and then I began to accept. No, and then before I started to accept, I was then in doubt with God. I was having personal struggle with God, and then I began to accept, and then I cried. I began to cry. So I didn't cry immediately because I was like, no, my daddy cannot die. I was so convinced that my dad could not die. Right, and that was it for me.
For me, it was actually a different experience because I just given birth to my second son, and then Momsy was with me. I remember it was I gave birth few months after. Was it few months? Few months after my graduation from my master's degree, and then mommy and daddy was supposed to come for my master's degree ceremony, but they couldn't make it. And then dad was like, "Mommy can come now. You will come next year, and maybe use that opportunity to see you, and see all of us." And then mommy was with me, taking care of the child, the newborn baby. And then that particular day that it happened, the truth is, the night before, mommy, and daddy were on a video call. We're talking, we're gisting and all that. But he looked really tired in that video. He looked really tired. I think he had just got back from a program and all that. So we spoke, and then that particular day, I was feeding my son his food, and then something struck me. I just remembered I wanted to call him, but I was like, let me just feed my son, and then I'll call him. But before I finished feeding my son, Auntie had called me. Had said, begin to pray. Your dad, we heard he had an accident and all that. And at the point when I heard he had an accident, I began to pray in my mind that he's going to survive it. It's my dad. He's going to survive it. And then when the people that gathered around him, that were around him, they said he was fine, that he was still talking and all that. They wanted to actually give him the phone so I can speak to him, so I or mommy can speak to him and all that. But I think because they were still running around to get one or two things to get him, the person could not actually access him to give him. After some minutes, when the phone cut, when the person finished speaking to us, after some minutes, I'd gone to the toilet. I was overwhelmed. I was like, God, please spare my dad. You've done it before. This is not the first time that you'll have an accident. Am I speaking sense? And you've done it before. Just do this again. But all together, let your will be done, because it's life, innit? What? Sometimes if you survive and you're in a critical situation. But as a Christian, and I'll ask this question: as a Christian, did you feel annoyed? You already said it, that you felt annoyed with God, at least when you heard totally that he had passed, that you were angry with God. As a Christian, with your understanding of God, do you actually think it's right to blame God for maybe taking a loved one?
I can go first. I actually was not angry with God. I was angry with people who were felicitating with me because I had not accepted that my dad had passed. So I was like, what are you saying? Don't tell me sorry. My dad is still alive, right? I would not say immediately I was angry with God. I would say it's along the line, and I would not even really call it anger. I would just say I had a question because God had given me a song within that period of within the first 3 days when I was processing the emotions. And God had given me a song, and it was about because I was really questioning God that how does this death bring you glory? You could have spared his life, you could have averted the accident, it was going to retreat, you could have shown it to us because actually nobody knew about it, nobody saw it coming.
I actually saw it coming, but continue.
Well, so far, for me, there was no information anywhere. Normally, God, I believe God does not hide things from his children, and we are his children, right? I was like, why is it so that we didn't even have an idea of this? And I was questioning, right? And then God gave me a song. I have the lyrics down on my phone. It was answering that question I had in my heart, right? And it was one of the things that really comforted me. I would not say I was angry with God. I got peace in my mind that it did actually give him glory. It was his will, it was his choice, it was for a good report. I know I kept saying it between that period. My dad was speaking there's a kind of report that God wanted to be said about his life. And it was for that good report. Even the scripture says about the people of faith who for a good report they chose them for a good report. That scripture became more. I understood that scripture more. If that was what I kind of accepted, I wouldn't say I was actually angry with God. And as Christians, grief is something that we handle differently. I think it's also based on understanding.
Yes.
It's okay if you're at a place where you're angry with God, but it's not okay to stay there, right? It's not okay to stay there. But if that ever happens to anyone, I wouldn't say that's bad. It's just a process, honestly. It's just grieving and it's just how you're handling and receiving it at the time.
For me, it's also aligns with what you said, I'd say. Just from a different perspective, I never also at any point had to blame God for what had happened. I think it goes back to the first question about how do we handle again. It's a very personal thing. You never would say this is how you should do it, or this is how you should not do it. When he eats you, you definitely know how you can handle it. And for me, it leads me back to the question of why, right? And I never blamed God, but the question of why was very, very tough on my mind. And the truth is, even till today and forever, I would always ask that question of why. And so for me, it was that question I was asking from the day it happened. Of why did this even happen now? I remember, just to put a little bit of story out there, my father is extremely someone that supports his children, and he was a very, very strong supporter of our dreams and education.
Being present in our lives.
It took our education very serious, and I was looking forward to seeing my dad on my graduation because it was just 2 weeks, two weeks more for me to defend my final exam, and it got me thinking like, why now? Someone who has labored and basically was already over, and for him to just come and have that proud moment of a father during my graduation, but it was not that. That question of why is something that I had very, very strongly at the beginning. And just by and by, you sometimes will find the answer to your whys, but you would never, ever outgrow grief. The whys will be different at some point. You get to certain points of your life and you ask that question again, why? Why did it happen at that time? But don't let us forget that everything eventually boils down to God making a glory. The major answer actually to the why is for God to be glorified. And in our own family, as far as I'm concerned, we've seen God being glorified so many times. I remember One of the whys I asked in the beginning was, why would this happen now, and why would it happen at a time when we needed him the most? It happened at a time when this man should literally be enjoying all of his labor. He enjoyed it. Let's put it out there.
he did.
He enjoyed it actually. It was just very short. And I don't know anyone that would be listening to this, or you be experiencing the same thing as we've experienced. The truth is, no matter what happens, try to keep your conscience to avoid or draft into the part of you then start blaming God, because really everything happens for the good of us. It's not actually for the bad. And you would understand that, just give it back. You would understand that things would walk in line, and really God would just take the glory. He's the real Father, actually. You should never forget that.
I think you just mentioned a very big one for me, which you just said is God is the real Father, and I think Daddy actually made that
Yes.
a big
Very
point
clear.
for us
Very
growing
clear.
up from the very beginning of our lives. I remember Glory talked about how Daddy gave her an assignment when she was younger, when she was going to school, and then he had told you that you should pray that God should provide before you come back. If you prayed, He's gonna know.
I could share that story actually. It was when we were little. Myself and my brother, we attended the same primary school, and I needed to pay for something in school. One of the things I do not understand, and I still don't understand, is when people say they don't have money. Something that I have personal. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't call it agreement, but I just have like personal conversations with God where I don't just want to understand what it means to lack money, right? So even as a child, we had to go for an excursion this period, and then I asked my dad for money. My dad was like, "Oh, he doesn't have money right now, but when I'm going to school, I should sing a song and sing it on my way to school and on my way back, and that by the next day God would have provided the money, and that He would know if I do not sing that song because I wouldn't have the money the next day, right?" And then he also told me that He doesn't provide money, that God is our Father, who gives the money that He's going to give to me. He's going to get it from God. I need to sing that song to God so that God will give him the money so that He can give me the money. Right? Honestly, I took that seriously that day. And I also...
You were so young.
I was so young. I did it like my life depended on it. I sang the song all the way to school, and I also sang the song all the way back. And then the next day, my dad was able to give me the money for the excursion. And then I learned from that experience that actually my father is just a caretaker, right? For us in this world. That God is actually... That was what that thing... That's one of the greatest lessons I learned from my mind. Yes, I learned from my dad that yes, he's here. We can look up to him. He's dependable, to be honest. He's an idol and everything. But he was always able to shift our focus from him to God, who is our actual Father.
Yes.
So we learned stuff from him.
We actually really did learn that from. That's why when it didn't really, they said they didn't really have to question why, and they didn't have to really sink in it. And I really want to use the opportunity to actually thank the Foursquare Gospel Church, for the upbringing of being a Christian. We went through stage by stage, cadets, from cadet to being a teenager, from being a teenager to being a youth. And all these stages really gave us at least one or two things that we were able to hold on to for life journey. And that's why I would always say this: for you to have a good home, you just need to build it on God. You just need a good foundation. Because when you get the foundation wrong, like what the Bible says already, just getting the foundation right is the key. From cadets, we've been going to Sunday school. They've been telling us so much about God, which we also see happening in our lives as we grew. Daddy would tell us, go and pray, go to the mountain. At every stage, Daddy always took you to mountains. He always took you on his retreat, personal retreats. They will have their personal one. Daddy will have his personal one. Daddy will take mommy on their personal one. If he needs to take away the kids on our personal ones, just trainings contributed so much to building our minds for what the future holds, because we are getting there. We are not there yet. We are getting there, but those things have a way of putting your mind in control, because it's just like a solid rock. Putting your mind on a solid rock that no matter what it is, you can find peace here. Do you understand? I don't know, Emmanuel, do you want to?
Absolutely, it's a solid rock that can never break. God is the foundation for everything. For me, I'm just remembering was when our father took me to the mountain for 3 days, and we're fasting, and it was very tough. It was it's very tough. Sometimes
I know
it's very tough because I felt like it was never. I felt it was never possible, like, to fast 3 days and we would,
without food and water.
without food and water for 3 days. And I'm not. My sisters know me. I'm not so good with fasting. We went like on the fasting for 3 days, and after the first day, I was like, I can't do this. This is not my thing. And I was begging Daddy that I just
down,
need to go down. Mountains in Nigeria, they are hot, right? So I just want to go down. I just need to buy something to eat. So bad. He's like, no, we'll do this. And then when we had the night session for prayers on the first day, I was already dead. First day. Like, I could not move from the mat. I could not move. And come on, get up. Let's do this. I know, you're not doing anything. Until I got the strength in between, and then he started singing with clapping and all. And the prayers were very strong prayers. And I was just looking at the time. When are they going to stop?
Even if I can't eat,
let me sleep. And then we finished the day one, and we have 2 more days. And then the next day, got up very early, like 5 a.m. Went on the mountain, and I didn't have any voice, nothing. I was just looking. And we were reading the scriptures together. It was like telling me things and everything. And I was just looking. I was just looking like, and we prayed. The strength would come from nowhere at some point, and it would fade away again, fade, because there's no food. But to just cut the long story short, goes back to the foundation, so back to where I'm coming from. So it's back to the place of him teaching me strength. All those were very spiritual strengths that really matter. So the foundation to everybody is the most important. Once your foundation is really built on that rock, you can't really be drifted or drifted like to any place. You would really know your place, and that's what I would like to add to that.
I would just I'm curious now at this point to just get how has it really been life without that being around? How has it really been? I'd like to hear from you both, and I can also share my experience.
Well, life without a dad, I think it's just for me. It just feels weird. No, daddy is someone that you can always call. You can always, anytime, any day. I remember during those times, because I just gave birth. One midnight, I was just awake and just on my phone, and I was just prompted to pray. But even though I wasn't praying, I was just on my phone. I dialed that number mistakenly about 2 something, and Dad called me back. What? Daddy, are you not sleeping? What are you doing awake? He said that he just finished his administration. He just got to the hotel where he was lodged. And why am I not sleeping as well? Is it that praise is not making me sleep? Is it disturbing me? Because it was someone that you can always call and he will answer. Living life without him now is very... I don't say it's hard, because he already trained us so much, rather than making it look like it's hard. It's not hard. I'll just say that he just left a gap. He just left a gap for me, in that I cannot always call someone. That's the only thing he did for me. But other than that, I think every of my worries goes to God. Let me give this example. So when I was doing my immigration stuff, I was supposed to get my NI sorted, because it wasn't sorted. It was sorted, but I needed to do a change of name from my dad's surname, and I had issues. I spoke to Dad. He was really busy those periods. I spoke to him about does he have anybody that does this NIN thing, and he had told me that this thing is too in Nigeria. It's not really easy. It's now tough and terrible and like that, like that. And when he said that thing, something registered in my mind. Okay, he himself doesn't even have the person that can help me. So, and it's someone that I easily call. So it just takes me back to the real owner of all of us, which is God. So it just makes me know that your worries should be told to God first before anybody, because really God is only the one that brings things to work through for you. So it's not much, but I'll just say just left it that. That's what I'll say. Okay, Emmanuel.
Yes, for me, to be honest, life has not been the same after we lost our father. That's because of the importance of who he was to us. And it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I can't really say this is the way life has been, because going back against the foundation, right? Even while our father was alive, he always pointed us to one source as the pillar, the major person. So life has been ups and downs, which is normal, right? Which is just normal, But the part where we, really feel down, or if my father was here, this would have been easy, this would have been easy. Of course, that part is no more, of course. But again, this is how I say it. It brings out another responsibility from you, right? It's like a challenge, like a life of challenge that I've embraced, or that I've embraced as a person, right? That I now see things as, since my father is not here, who will do it? I'll do it. It's very easy, it's like just embracing responsibility.
Just go for it.
And just go for it. Yeah. Instead of asking an earthly man for something, it has been for me that I asked God, who is the provider of everything. And with man, or with our earthly father, some things, not even reliable, but with God, everything is reliable. And you can always rely that he will definitely provide, that he will definitely help. We never lose, right? For me, life has been interesting because there is no physical man to fall back to, but there is a spiritual man that is more than physical. So that has been. So.
And for me, same. Just really the gap. It's not been the same, honestly. I think it can never be the same. So I wouldn't want to go over it. But I'm just also curious to know what do you miss the most? For me, it's this voice. I really miss his voice.
I miss his laughter.
I miss the words he says to me. I just miss the words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Right? I miss his word.
Yeah, I just miss seeing it.
Yeah.
I just miss.
Yeah, I miss him. He was a very fashionable person.
Yeah, I just
someone
miss.
who was always on take pictures. He's always ready to take pictures, always ready to go out.
No, for me, even seeing over the phone, because for me it's been a while, right? That I'm not seeing him at all. So I just miss seeing him over the phone, in fact, not even like in person.
How many years?
Yes, I think it was already like 4 years.
Yeah,
so 4 years. I just miss that, and it's very calm. It's not someone that you're scared to say anything to.
Oh no, it was really approachable. Really approachable. Like you could tell him even your greatest failures.
Yeah.
You go not put them for your mind. Sorry for the non-pidgin speakers, but I really need to express this feeling. Like what's the words that happen with daddy? It's not out of disrespect. It's just out of the fact that you are very sure that he loves you regardless. Whether you fail or you pass. You can go to him. You can go to him with your failures, with your worries, with your shortcomings. You can literally just open up to him, and you will not feel judged.
Yeah.
There was one person that God really blessed with wisdom to answer every situation that was brought.
Does not judge.
Right?
It didn't segregate also. It didn't segregate between us, and that's why we are even still strong together. Even more stronger. Another thing I'd like to put out there, which I think would, go along with our Nigerian community and how it is with the culture, is while our father was alive, he didn't introduce us to so many people as superior, as like elpas, so to say, so we didn't feel, even while we lost them, we didn't feel attached or, feeling like we owe something to some
someone,
people,
yeah.
right? You understand? Everything going down back to God.
Yeah.
Even
We
if,
always say God provided
yes,
this,
yes,
God
it's
provides,
always
or
God.
God
So
used this person to do this
exactly,
thing.
exactly. So to us, even after we lost him, we didn't see any man, any particular man as the person who would, do anything of any. We saw basically our gaze was just on God.
Yeah.
God was like the big deal,
Yeah.
and so there was no need to think like you can rely on any human. It was always, we knew like after that at that point, it's only God that we can
That
rely
we
on
have
at this,
faith.
at this point,
Yeah.
and it's really, really reliable.
Yeah.
God
God,
is reliable.
God, he's
this
been
is
good.
very, very, yeah.
He's been good.
Once you know this, you know everything. It is
Yeah.
reliable. I can say that way many times.
Yeah. This brings us to the last and final one that I would say I'll be asking you guys. So, what's the one thing that you learned from that you're holding on to? You go first.
Yeah, I can go for a step. For me, the thing I would never forget, that would live with me till I also die, is my dad always told me so many times, almost at the end of our call and everything, he's always telling me to be professional. Like the world celebrates professionals, like the world celebrates professionals. Never to stop at the minimal things or the things that are just easy. To always think of going one step more, one step more, one step more. That's what the world celebrates. So that one I'd never forget. And I'm also on that ladder. Climbing the ladder that definitely would make it.
Yeah, go. Like for me, one thing that I saw my dad do for me so much, and I to stay with me for life, and I continue to build on that is the fact that he was someone that was really invested in my academics. He would pay anything just for
Yeah.
he supported me so much, like especially with my academics. And I think it also boils down to what my brother was saying about being professional. He
Yeah.
wants you to go for it till the
Yes.
very height. Like
And that's why he actually did a master's degree. This man actually went for his master's degree.
Yeah.
Oh
And
god.
he
yeah,
was
of course. He was, like his mindset was just get to the very height of where it is that
Wherever it is
whatever it
you're
is you're
doing.
doing,
definitely.
get to the height, and that's something that I feel like I'm indebted to him for that, because while he was alive, he supported me till his last breath, and now it's time for me to pick up that and not just give up or just rest because of some sort of comfort, whatever it is that I think I'm getting. I need to always aspire for more. That hunger and that drive for greatness will never die. And I'm really going to hold on to that, and I'm really going to continue to put it at the back of my mind that I have to do this to make my dad proud, even though it's fast, and also to make God proud, because it's my life mantra, really. Right? Just making God proud, making my dad proud, and that's it.
Well, for me, the one word that I'll always remember that Daddy always tells me is, even though I'm a jovial person, I'm someone that wherever, just like him, almost like him. I can't say just like him, but almost like him. Wherever I am, people are always, happy. Or when I'm sad, you can easily know that something is wrong with me. So because of that, Daddy always tells me, Mama Bino. In English, it means don't always get angry. It doesn't look good. Your anger doesn't look good. No, always be cheerful. Always show your cheerful side. Don't show that when you're angry. Don't always. It's not like you can't get angry, but don't let it linger, and don't let it be all over your face. Don't let it be all over your face that people will now start asking you what's wrong with you. Why are you angry? No, so that's one thing that stays with me. And another one is when I was going to get married. And that one, he just randomly called us and he was telling us, he said in Yoruba, he said, Ijiyan, yeah, Ijenu, what should we call
Fagba.
Fagba, and all that. So those ones, that one always rings in my head every day, actually. And so that's it for
Maybe
me.
we should translate that for the non-speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Maybe.
was just basically advising and normal stuff. But
Yeah.
when you're getting married,
Married and all.
don't get angry, don't argue, learn to sit properly, learn to respect
Like
your
elders.
elders.
Yeah, now, I'd like to say something before we wrap it up. To be honest, I don't know who's watching this and I don't know what you're going through, but we know for sure that we've been there, right? And we are not trying to make you get out of your grief, but trying to tell you that if you really see God and put God during your grief, you can get out of it quite easy, but never. You will never get out of it. But so I don't know what you're going through right now, even if it's not a grief, but I know for sure that there is someone who is very reliable and that can help you through that pain or grief that you might be going through. And just to leave this with you, if you're going through a grief, the best way you can honor the dead really is to live by what they actually expected and what they did, by them. So the best thing you can do for your loved one that you miss or that has passed is to just honor them by living by their legacy, live by the things that they did, while they were. I think you definitely get through it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this takes us to the end of this session. I'll see you guys in my next video. I remain Oluwadamilola Elias.
Thank you for having us on the show. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
very much.
Just that.